ba 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 ba. That brain dance I've done this month is over. Juniversal month. Juniversal horror month. God. We are now talking about The Bride of Frankenstein. Released in 1935, I believe. I still have the DVDs I'm giving my friend. Hold on. My friend Brandon. DVDs. Yes, 1935. Directed by James Whale. After he was persuaded to come back. See, he did. Yeah. After doing the first Frankenstein, and The Invisible Man, he's back to do this one. He did a couple other horror movies. This is his last horror movie. And of course, Boris Karloff was back as the monster. Yes. And Colin Clive was back as Dr. Frankenstein. After he was saved in post-production, having him film a scene in which he survived. He originally was supposed to die. So, strangely enough, this film, it technically picks up where the first one left off, but it actually starts with Mary Shelley. Yes, we have Percy B. Shelley, the poet, and his buddy Lord Byron, and they're there in the room smoking with Mary Shelley, who is played by Elsa Lancaster, who would also play the bride in this, but she also went on to be the crazy old lady who lives next door to the main characters in That Darn Cat, and Katie Nana in Mary Poppins. But she was Mary Shelley at the beginning, and she basically says, well, you thought my story was done. Well, it's not. Let me tell you. So they sit around, and yes, because that's all the three of them ever did was sit in the house and talk. Nothing else. So we get when they're talking about the oh, I love your story, but what happened, and they kind of flash to scenes from the last one, because back then there was no VHSs, no DVDs, no Blu-rays, nothing. You had to have seen the first movie to know what happened, so they got to show flashbacks to let you know what happened if you missed it. So, yes, very smart. We pick up basically where we left off. The monster survives the fire, and Henry is at home resting. Victor disappeared. He's not in this at all, despite being there at the end, I think. But also, the actress who plays Elizabeth is now different. A different actress. I know, it's like, she wasn't like, I mean, her hair could have grown up, but that's not the same actress. It's not. So, now in rehabilitation, basically, as he's resting after what happened, he is visited by Dr. Pretorius, this old man, a colleague of his, who wants him to make another monster, a female this time. But he says no. Meanwhile, the monster is just running around killing people, although there was a cut scene in which our buddy Fry. Edmund Fry. Dwight Fry. Our buddy Dwight Fry was supposed to play more than one role. He's a killer guy who killed his uncle and blamed it on the monster. Also, maybe the monster, there's some other bodies the monster wasn't responsible for, but I don't know, it just feels weird that he would. I mean, he killed Fritz in the last one, but he's wandering around. Now the monster is. He's a little burned. The makeup's a bit different here. He's burned on the singed and stuff. burn marks. And he meets this blind man who welcomes him in and gives him things. You should teach him about food and smoking. Smoke good. Good. No. Smoke bad. By the way, he's dead. His lungs don't work. How does he do that? There's no lungs. He's dead. His lungs don't work. It's nothing. No, they wouldn't work. That's one thing that always frustrates me about vampires smoking. They don't breathe. They're dead. They're not breathing. How do they smoke? They don't breathe. I don't know. It's a movie. Okay, he's dead. He's not breathing. He's dead. He's a dead creature. He's a dead body. Of course, he doesn't like fire. Fire, no good. I wonder what movie. Fire, bad. I remember hearing that one, but he says, fire, no good. Okay. Until two assholes, I'll call them that, they come in, they're hunting for the monster. They're like, oh, come on, man, he's hideous monster. Can't you see? Realizes he's blind. This is the monster that's been killing everyone. And then they set the place on fire. And the monster has to leave. Friend! No, friend. He teaches the monster how to speak. So, yeah. And after that, he just sort of makes his way back to the castle where he meets Dr. Pretorius. And Dr. Pretorius talks him into having him help talk Dr. Frankenstein into building him a mate, which he does by kidnapping Elizabeth. Lovely. So Dr. Frankenstein has to cooperate, and we get another assistant, also played by Dwight Fry, whose name is Carl. There is a Carl! Yes, and he's killing people. They need lady parts, and he's like, these are fresh. Where did you get those? I like that. Where did you get those? Like, he's implied he's killing women on the streets. Maybe he's Jack the Ripper. Carl the Ripper. They do put together to do the thing. Carl gets killed, as is foretold, because he's played by Dwight Fry, and he's going to die at some point in these movies. Unless you're a random... Unless he's like a random person. And, the monster kills him, and then the bride comes in with 4 minutes left of the movie, titled Bride of Frankenstein. The bride pops up. They bring her to life. And she hates the monster. There's no frame of reference. She just doesn't like him. No, she doesn't like him. He's burned a little bit, but look in the mirror, ma'am. No, she doesn't like him, and that causes the monster to freak out. And yeah, he proceeds to let Dr. Frankenstein and Elizabeth go, and then pulls the magic lever that destroys the whole castle. We belong dead. Pulls the thing, and it explodes. But of course, we know Frankenstein survives, or the monster survives. Frankenstein's alive too. He ends up having a... is this one where he dies and he's like frozen in ice or something, and they wake him up? How does Son of Frankenstein go? I haven't seen it. I don't know. But, yeah, and then the movie just ends, and I'm like, wait, we're not going back to Mary Shelley? The wraparound? We're not going... But that's a delightful story. Let's go do something else. No? That's just how it ends. The older movies did end abruptly, but, yeah. I want to point out that even though Colin Clive is mostly bedridden, he delivers a performance for someone who was an alcoholic. Yeah, Universal didn't want him on the movie because he was an alcoholic and often showed up drunk. But it was James Whale who convinced them to let him keep the role. And like I said, they replaced the actress who played Elizabeth with someone who was 17 years old. That's no good. I don't know. They filmed it in England. Maybe it's legal there. I don't know. But she doesn't look 17, but that's back then when you were 40 and looked 70. Because of all the smoking. People still smoke, but back then it was more of, constant thing. The guy who plays Pretorius is actually pretty good, but he's very... You'll make man... No. Woman. It's like... Yeah, like... Yes, I did the edit from Weird Science, but I always like that clip, too. I did miss the... He does one at the beginning. Or whatever, but like... Yeah. One thing I just thought of. The villagers are going after the monster. Nobody tells Frankenstein his monster's still alive. He doesn't know until he bursts through the door and steals Elizabeth. Also, they call him Baron Frankenstein, but he's not Baron Frankenstein. His dad was, but his dad's not in this at all. Maybe he got too drunk and fell down the stairs and he didn't make it. I don't know. But I just don't know. Musical score in this. We're getting musical scores now. They've learned you got to put some kind of music in there. And this works. It's a very German-like tune that they play. They have different themes. One for Pretorius, for the monster, and for Dr. Frankenstein himself. So it works. Or maybe it was for the bride, actually. Not Frankenstein, but the bride. And to that, my one big complaint. The movie's called Bride of Frankenstein. Which doesn't really make any sense because it's... Frankenstein is not the monster. He's the doctor, but the bride only gets 4 minutes of screen time. Most of the movie is building up to it. It's the monster wandering around and doing shit. Dr. Frankenstein in bed and Pretorius trying to convince him to make another one. And then it all comes to a head with a half hour left or so. Then they build to that. And then with 4 minutes left, they bring it to life. And I don't know. I wish she had more screen time. That's what I'm saying. You know? The monster in the last one, his screen time was limited too, but it was more than 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And it was building up to that. But we've already seen all that and what it takes to make it. Here they have a special brain. And I guess that's what makes her smart enough to realize that the monster is not for her. I guess. I don't know. I did enjoy it. I hear people say this is better than the first one, and I think it's on par with it. I don't know. Some people say it's one of the best sequels ever made. It's well done, but I don't know. It's a good movie. I'll tell you that. Movie good. It's good, but yeah. There's an image, a behind-the-scenes image from this movie that made me laugh because it's Boris Karloff in full makeup smoking. He's got the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and it just looks weird with the monster. It's like that picture of Tim Curry from full clown makeup smoking. It's weird because you know, but I don't know. It made me laugh. I wanted to mention that. I'll give this pretty good. Yes. I like to say we got one more Universal Monsters movie left, and then we're gonna go into other Universal horror movies. Most of these are gonna be revisited after this, but like there's one that's not, and then the rest are. But I picked them because I figured I want to revisit some of these. That last one, I don't know if you'll like it. Just watch it, please. A lot of these are classics, and the last one's in the pub, and you're gonna go, really? All of these, you got some good ones. Those, yeah, they kind of peter off. I feel like the second to last one I'm picking is better than the last one that I'm picking, but. So, what are your thoughts on Bride of Frankenstein? Comment, so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.